But isn't it interesting how it parallels? What happened in Wisconsin is basically exactly what Limbaugh has done to Sandra Fluke, squelching that voice. And the president addressed it last week. He talked about his daughters. When was the last time you heard the president of the United States in a serious vein talk about his daughters? This is serious stuff. And he related it just to the point. You think Sandra Fluke is the only person that's going to go up to Capitol Hill and want to speak her mind someday? But every time a woman goes to Capitol Hill now, she has to think, now wait a minute. Am I going to be on radio across the country for 9 hours? Is my life going to get changed here because I feel a certain way about an issue? Am I going to become a target? This is why we have to fight back. We have to protect those free voices. We have to protect the voices of diversity. Your job is so terribly important. If you affect one person or 2 people or 1,000 people, it's a victory. It's a victory. If you can reach your next door neighbor. You know, we're going to do a story here in a few months down the road. We're putting this together. How many union people actually vote for Republicans? Now, I run a TV show. I don't run a counseling session. But when you see that promo and I said I needed 2 shows, well, that's what I was talking about. I needed a counseling session aside from the show. What in the world would someone in organized labor think about voting for a Republican? They offer you nothing. They have no future, they have no plan, and they have no desire to make it better for workers. They think you're the problem. They think because we have budget deficits at a state level and a federal level, well, hell, the workers aren't paying enough. Middle class has to do a little bit more. So part of the agenda of destroying that middle class is making sure when they come to Capitol Hill that there might be somebody on a Republican committee that can circle the word around these right-wing talkers and say, we got a problem with this person coming up to testify. Can you help us out? That's how it works. This was years ago. I was down broadcasting in Miami. And Hannity was down there. And it was the Dubai Ports deal was going on. Karl Rove calls up Hannity and says, we don't like what you're saying on the air. I got to get on the air and straighten you out. Oh, okay. 10 minutes later, Karl Rove's on 450 radio stations around the country explaining where the Bush administration was on the Dubai Ports deal. That's infrastructure. Would you like to have access, your president, to have access to 450 radio stations within an instant across the country telling them what working families are going through? They didn't have the microphone, but now they do. And now they have right-wing websites that go out and attack people on the left. Let them do it. I say bring it on. I want this fight because I know I got workers behind me and I know I got the American families behind us. You know, my wife and I sit in that little radio room at 30 Rock in New York City. And we're in there for 3 hours. And we're going at it. We're going this story and this caller and that caller and this. You know, we're talking to these 4 walls here in this little room. And sometimes you think, I hope people are, I don't know if anybody's listening or not. That's why I like to get out around the country and go to Madison and go to Toledo and go to Columbus and go to Detroit and come here to talk to you. Because it is about people. And you energize me and our team. And if we lose that contact, we've lost everything. If we lose sight of who we're affecting, and the First Amendment of the Constitution is not giving you a license to say whatever the hell you want to say. It's a responsibility. And to take that microphone, and Fox lies. They lie. I have the tape to prove it. On gas prices, just last week, we ran a piece of tape of Mr. O'Reilly, the king of cable, talking about there's no way back in 2008 Bush had anything to do with these high gas prices. The president, but last week he was blaming President Obama. So which is it? Okay? Which is it? I mean, the fact is that if we lose our unity and if we lose our heart and our desire, they win. We don't have to have millions of dollars. We just have to have the information. We just have to have the networking. We just have to have the passion because we have the facts on our side. And we have the moral stance of what's fair to people on our side. I hope you watch the Ed Show, but I've tried to develop this. It's just like the Wisconsin story. You just can't do it one day or 2 days or a couple weeks. This is a long-running, year-long narrative to get the people of the country to understand exactly what's going on, and this could happen in your backyard too. You probably live in a state where you got a wacky governor that's going after everything, right? How many raise your hands on that one? Yeah, see, I'm not. There you go. You know, hell, they're everywhere. But I run this chart. You know, the blue line's down here. This is where middle-class wages have gone over the last 30 years. And the red line is what I call the vulture chart. I got 2 vultures up there. One of them's Romney, the other one's Santorum. And then the red line shows where the top 2% has gone over the last 30 years. I can't put it in 2 words, but what the hell other kind of information do you need? One line's like that, the other one's like that. That's where workers are down here. But wait a minute, they're not happy. This blue line down here, while this one goes up here, there's a political party in this town that wants this line to have more. They want this line to have more deregulation, more corporate tax cuts, more personal tax cuts for this crowd up here. So it's about concentrating the wealth. But this crowd down here, well, hell, they got health care. We can't let them have that. Pension? Look at that fat pension fund. Well, we can cut that. They got way too much. I was with the firefighters over the weekend down in Florida. And they're no different than you. Cops are no different than workers. I mean, come on. Teachers. They're after librarians. You know the great thing about public education? How many of you in here have kids that are in public education? There you go. It's everywhere. The great thing about public education is when the doors open, everybody's welcome. The gifted, the challenged, the rich, the poor, diverse. That's the great thing. But you know what? They've got this thing in their mind about charter schools. And they want to take public funds and put them to charter schools. Now, I know we've all got our own lift. But that is fundamentally going against everything this country was built on. This country was built on equal opportunity, and we've legislated to that. The Democrats have legislated to that. Women's rights, equal rights, civil rights, social justice, all of that, workers' rights, it's all been there on the Democratic platform. Republicans have only tried to tear all of that down. And their sound machine is there to rev up this red line base to make sure that if they can concentrate the wealth and they can depress the working man in this country, and if they can reduce the opportunities for minorities, they're going to have the kind of country they want. That's morally wrong. It is morally wrong. Back to Wisconsin. Understand that this is a huge lift in your backyard. Understand that you can win if you have the information on your side. If you're willing to tell your neighbor, if you're willing to tell your coworker, if you're willing to stand up in the workplace, if you're willing to tell those riders that get on that bus how important your folks are and what is at stake, we can save it. We can save it. Nothing's lost until you give up. Nothing's lost until you're not on in the face of those folks that need to know. And it's amazing today with the pressures of the economy, of families trying to make it, how little information they get and how satisfied they are with such little information. But your folks, as I'm told, makes common sense. The folks that are riding are the ones that are getting taxed. A price goes up, the bus driver, the operator sees it first. The Republicans don't see it. The state legislators don't see it. The city fathers don't see it. But the worker sees it. Now, what are you going to do about it? You've got to fight back. I want to hear that. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? That is what this is about. And nothing's lost until you give up. And understand, as much money that might come in the door against, no one can take your heart, no one can take your voice, no one can take your desire. These are things you own. These are things that you own. There's a thing that we have in our industry, intellectual property. What's our intellectual property in this business? Well, who's the reporter that's doing the story? Who's the foot soldier that goes out and talks to the people and brings the story back? And as soon as it's run, then some other reporter picks it up. But whose intellectual property is it? Where does it come from? Where's your intellectual property? Is it down the street? Is it at work? No. Your workplace, you are the workplace. If you don't bring your intellectual property to the workplace, your thoughts, your heart, your mind, your desire, you can't win. If you can't leave your intellectual property at home and your integrity and your desire, or Citizens United will overcome us. We're much deeper than that. We're far more important than that. And that's what we have to focus on. And the reason why we have got to beat Walker, I love to fish. I don't know if any of you like to fish, but if you do, you'll understand what I'm talking about. They don't bite all the time. Damn it. And everybody's got a tackle box. Well, they ain't biting right now. But I got something in that tackle box I know I can get them to bite, so I'm going to change. I got confidence in my tackle box. I know I'm going to catch that fish down there. I'm going to figure it out. I got to figure out the pattern. I got to figure out where the wind's blowing and everything else. I got something for them. I'll guarantee you every time I go fishing, I'm going to catch something. I got confidence in that tackle box. And that's how you got to carry your lunch bucket to work. This is what I'm all about. This is what I believe in. And this is where we're going. And you stand up for who you are and what you believe in. And so this fight in Wisconsin is about all of us. It's about confidence in our tackle box to set the template. Somebody's got to lead. Somebody's got to step up and make this happen. It just so happens it's the people of Wisconsin right now who not only represent Appleton and Green Bay, the hell with the Packers, I'm a Viking fan, you know. That's your fault. I'm still rooting for the worker though. But this is about laying out a template for that worker across America to go to work and say, they didn't run my brother and sister over in Wisconsin. They didn't run my brother and sister over in Ohio. Senate Bill 5, go ask Kasich how life's treating him right now. There's the government overreach. There are the workers getting together, and there are the workers making a statement. You can't do that to us. And this is the mentality, I believe, that you have to have in your industry if you're going to network to writers, if you're going to engage some employees who may vote the wrong way and vote against their interests. Yes, we can't leave any worker behind. We can't leave any issue behind. We have to set the template and never give up. And remember, you're in business to do things that people might not want to do and make them feel good about doing it. You've accepted the challenge by being here today. And when you go home and you go back into your districts and you go back into your regions, if you can reach a person a day, it's a victory. If you can get 10 people a week to see it your way about how this is destroying America, this attack on labor, you can make a difference. This isn't something that's going to happen just this election cycle. What about 2014? What about 2016? This is how the conservatives have been putting their generational effort together by getting the microphone, by not having the White House, but they went after all the workers on a state level in New Jersey, in Ohio, in Michigan, in Indiana, in Wisconsin, in Florida. These 6 radical governors decided that they want to come in and just take it off the backs of the workers. Stand up. The law that was passed in Michigan is unbelievable. That the governor could have a training camp for financial managers. And if your town's not operating the way they think it should be run, the governor can appoint a financial manager to go in and cut your union contract with no representation whatsoever. An appointed position by the governor to go into your backyard and absolutely demean and push aside your mayor, your city council, your city administrator, your city finance director, and here comes a dictator. That was passed in Michigan. If that succeeds, you know what that is? That's their Wisconsin template. That's what's going to happen. And that's going to snowball. Well, you think these Republican governors don't get together and smoke these big cigars? Well, Charlie, how'd you do it over there in Michigan? How'd you do it there, Ricky? Well, we just went after the workers. We set up this financial emergency manager law, and hell, we went in there and tore ass on every union person that was in there and knocked all the wages down, took the benefits, knocked off their pension. We balanced the budget, but we did give tax cuts to the top 2%. We got a lot of corporate tax cuts coming in too. What? That has to be repealed. It is in the process of being repealed right now. Now, here's a heavy lift for you. It goes far beyond, I think, what you're facing in your workplace right now. But it plays to the bigger picture. And that's voter suppression. It is absolutely outrageous that in the United States of America, we are making it harder for people to vote. I have this computer in front of me right here. I have the world at my fingertips. The information age. I mean, it's amazing the technology that's in front of us now and how it's changing by semester, by quarter. But yet, we're going backwards. We're going backwards as a country when it comes to validating people to vote. They're going after minorities, they're going after the elderly, and they're going after the young. You got to jump through 6 hoops to be able to say, I think Barack Obama should have a second term as President of the United States. You got to jump through all of these hoops. And you know what? You got to pay. You got to pay. Well, poor folks, they got to pay another $20 for a photo ID. What? How many elderly people don't have access to transportation? I think you know that better than anybody. Okay? So for them to go get a voter ID, they got to spend money to be in your system to move themselves to the point. And then they got to pay another fee to get that photo ID that's going to be okayed by the state. And oh, by the way, they're going to have some other documentation so they can vote. Where the hell are we going? Voter fraud? You kidding me? It's less than 0.5% everywhere in America. But wait a minute, the 2-word culture, the right-wing talkers, voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud. Just pounding it in the heads of the low-information voter. Making people believe, oh, there's just so much voter fraud out there, we got to make it harder for people to vote. This is the biggest fraud that is being committed on the American people. And I will tell you, to put it heavy on your heart and put the responsibility on your shoulders, no one in this country has the infrastructure or recognizes its severity than union workers across America. No one, no one. No one has a communicating network between all of the different union administrators and union workers to make sure that information gets there. There has never been a more important role for organized labor in this country than this election. Don't forget that. That this is it. And if they get the White House, if Romney gets in, and the Bain model is really put into high gear in America, where are workers going to be? This is Division 1. This is the big time. We got to play like there's no tomorrow. You got to go to work every day and lead like there's no tomorrow. And you got to pull that employee aside that, I know Susie and I know Harry. I've seen him at work before. I haven't talked to him very much, but I've said hi and bumped into him in the coffee shop and, hey, how's it going? I know she's married with a couple kids, but I've never really talked to her before. You know what you got to do? You got to talk to her. You got to talk to Harry. You got to talk to Larry. You got to talk to every employee. You have to take it upon yourself. Be fair, be direct. They need to understand the severity of what we're facing in 2012. We can get the House back. We can get the Senate. We can keep the Senate, and we can reelect this president. Why? Right here. Workers have the heart. Workers have the heart and desire. And no matter what law they put up in front of us, we're going to meet the challenge. Just like they met the challenge at Senate Bill 5 in Ohio, just like we're meeting the challenge in Wisconsin, just like we're meeting the challenge to shut off the voter suppression in Ohio. They put another referendum up there to get enough signatures where they've delayed it till after this election. So things can be done now. Things can be done today. And we have to recognize that if we're going to be successful. But my final word to you. You're sitting here because you've accepted the challenge. What a thrill. What a thrill. You have a chance to make a difference in somebody's life. That's pretty awesome responsibility. You have a chance to travel a road that your fellow workers don't have a chance to travel. That you can motivate. You can make a difference. You can be a part of change. And you can look back with a tremendous amount of pride and dignity and honor that you did your part. That is an awesome thing to go through in life. To know that you stuck up for that worker, and that worker is still there with those benefits. That worker is still there with a good wage. That worker is still there with a good pension and a good health care. Providing a valuable, vital service to the community and the country. Everybody should share in the dream. Everybody should share in the opportunity of being great. And you have, in your world, a chance to make that difference. Accept that responsibility and love what you do. You know, we're human. We all love to be loved, don't we? Everybody loves to be loved. Hey, Charlie, good job. Hey, Mary, way to go. We all encourage one another. If you talk to someone, if you reach someone, tell somebody about it. If you reach someone in a special way and you turn their mind and you get them listening, tell somebody about it. Make the next person feel good about doing the same thing. And it's amazing how it gets contagious. It is amazing what we can accomplish as a team if we're not concerned with who gets the credit. That's where we are as workers in this country. God bless you. Keep up the fight. Don't give up. Don't give up. Thank you so much.